Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Deepa Swani, and I'm the president of Phulkari. And I welcome all of you to this very special 29th Phulkari online session of 2020. This session is a part of our Mind Matter series, a 3-week program being run by Phulkari to explore the various facets of mental health. And today is special because we have the privilege of having with us none other than Brahmkumari Sister Jayanti. Sister Jayanti, welcome. It is such an honor to have
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
A quick word about our organization, Phulkari. We are a women's organization, the first of its kind in Amritsar, and ours is a community of very strong and empathetic women who have been for the last 3 years trying to make a difference in society. Our aim is individual empowerment at various levels and across different strata of society. And what better way to empower our members and our community than to have Sister Jayanti here imparting her wisdom to all of us. At all times, mental wellness is of prime importance, but it becomes so much more relevant now because of the unprecedented times that we find ourselves in. At this delicate time, when mindsets are fragile, spiritual guidance is such an important way forward. And I'm sure we will all see the light with Sister Jayanti here to guide us. I also take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed guests. Welcome Dr. Jaspal Singh Sandhu, Vice Chancellor, Guru Nanak Dev University. Thank you, sir, for being here today. And welcome Sahil Adlakha, student Brahmkumaris. Sahil, thank you so much for all the effort that you've been putting in for today's session. Today's session is being moderated by our Phulkari executive member, Lavanya Behl. May I ask Lavanya to please take over? Enjoy the session, everyone, and thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, Sister Jayanti and all our guests. Even though Sister Jayanti needs no introduction, I deem it my pleasure to welcome her and introduce her. Sister Jayanti is a European director of the Brahmkumaris with over 40 years of experience of Raja Yoga meditation and its practical application in daily life. Her gentle voice and profound insights on spiritual solutions to everyday problems have touched the hearts of thousands around the world. Sister Jayanti has made her life into a tireless work for peace and women's rights. She bridges Eastern wisdom and Western education. Sister Jayanti has traveled widely as a keenly sought-after speaker, broadcaster, and emissary of peace. She has coordinated several projects in connection with women, development, environment, and youth. She has helped establish the work of the universities in London, Hong Kong, Caribbean countries, Japan, South Africa, as well as several European countries. Since 2009, she has headed the Brahmkumari delegation to the United Nations COP Climate Change. In 2018, she led early morning meditation sessions at the World Economic Forum in Davos in January and at the European Commission EUSEW policy. Today, Sister Jayanti is going to tell us about spirituality and mental wellness. Sister Jayanti, we can't wait to get started and listen to your words of wisdom. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, and thank you to Phulkari and all the people who've worked so hard behind the scenes to make this happen. Much appreciation and gratitude for all that you've been doing, not just now for the program, but as I heard, for the empowerment of women and others in Amritsar, especially for the last some years. The whole subject of mental wellness is something that anyway is important for all of us, but especially during these difficult times. It's so easy to allow the negativity of the world to cloud our own inner peace and joy, and we get carried away by that negative impact that we see around us and feel around us at all times at the moment. And so what can I do about it? Firstly, I have to make sure that I protect myself from the negativity of the atmosphere. Secondly, I have to ensure that within my own inner being, my soul, I, the soul, that I'm able to clean out whatever it is that's negative, so that then my own original qualities of goodness are able to shine. I'd like to explain something that has been discovered by academic research. And some years ago, I was at a conference, and the person speaking before me had been the recipient of the Templeton Prize for Positive Psychology. And before the event, I had a chance to have a one-to-one with her. And my question to her was, we've been hearing about negative things in psychology for the last century. Certainly, the 20th century was one in which we heard about anger and greed and jealousy and envy and all of these negative forces that human beings are open to. And they tell us the impact of all of these things. But it's only been in the last 25, maybe 30 years that we started to hear about positive psychology. And my question to her was, why was this? Why did it take so long? And her answer was very interesting. She said that when negative emotions come, they come like a sledgehammer. They come with a great deal of force and intensity. And the experiences we have last for a long time. Anger comes, well, the impact of that stays a long time with us. Envy, jealousy, greed, any of these things, again, the sledgehammer hits, it's a very deep impact and it lasts a long time. So it was very easy to identify these things and to measure the impact on mind and body. But the positive feelings and emotions that we have, peace and love and joy and truth, all of these beautiful things that we aspire to, well, they're very subtle and also they're very transient. Anger came and stayed and stayed and stayed. Joy came and it stayed for a short while and then somehow evaporated. And I was left searching to try and find it, to bring it back again into my life. And she said that because of these two reasons, that these feelings are more subtle, and secondly, they're transient, it was only until recent times, at the end of the 20th century, basically, that we were able to find the tools with which to be able to measure these, quantify them, and see their impact on mind and body. So that was interesting. And I said to her, were you able to find what are the different stimuli that can create these positive feelings within people? And she said, well, that's what our research has been all about. And so, yes, firstly, what we did was to see what is the impact of these positive experiences in terms of inner mind, in terms of physical health, relationships at home, relationships at work, contribution to society as a citizen. These are just some of the things that I mentioned, but she mentioned a whole long list. But she said that had been our first research. What is the impact of these feelings when they are positive on the self and others, etc., etc.? And she said that when a person experiences these positive feelings, which we could put into the category of mental wellness, because it's feelings like love and peace and joy and strength and security, warmth, all of these things, many, many others, of course. And she said that we found that when a person is experiencing these qualities, they feel well. They're able to excel at everything they do. The impact of this on the physiology of the body is that the physical body feels much better, in balance, in harmony, in a state of comfort and wellness. Relationships at home are much sweeter, more loving, kinder, more compassionate. Relationships at work filled with mutual respect and regard, cooperative instead of aggressive and conflict. And so she said, relationships seem to be blossoming, whether at home or at work. And then the efficiency at work was being measured to have achieved a very high degree of creativity, of excellence and perfection. And then, in terms of the contribution to the world around, there was a genuine concern for the well-being of others and a spirit of sacrifice for the sake of others, so that others could benefit, whether it was through the giving of time, money, talents, or love, kindness. All of these things were very much in evidence. And so you begin to get a picture that's a very well-rounded picture of a human being when they go through these experiences, which are positive feelings and emotions. My next question to her was, and that was, well, what are the different types of stimuli that create these feelings and sustain these feelings? And so then her answer was, well, there can be many different things. If there's a particular type of food you enjoy, now that's going to create very good feelings. If there's a particular place you like to go to, whether it's by the sea, whether it's in the mountains, whatever it may be, but go to that place, and again, you begin to feel a sense of calm, of belonging, and that feeling of coming home. So it could be places, it could be scenes. A sunset might move you, a sunrise might move you. Friends, people you love to meet. All of these things were there. But she said that either they peaked and then there was a downward trend. Like, for example, if there's a particular type of food that you enjoy, maybe mango season, and you enjoy a mango, well, have one, and it is delicious. Have two, and it doesn't give you the same experience or feeling. And definitely, you won't even touch a third. You'll say, enough is enough. And so there's a peak in which there is that joy and sense of pleasure experienced, but then it comes down. And if you don't stop eating mangoes when you turn the corner of the peak, you're not going to feel very well, physically or internally. And so some things peaked and then finished, but some things kept changing, like friends. Today I meet a friend and it's a very sweet meeting. Tomorrow I meet the same friend and maybe it's not such a sweet meeting. So it wasn't a reliable guarantor that, yes, definitely you would have those experiences that you wanted to have for your own inner well-being. Sunset, sunrise, maybe today it's a beautiful one, maybe tomorrow it's hidden behind the clouds or behind the pollution, and you don't get the same kick, you don't get the same joy or the adrenaline rush. Places, well, in lockdown, we haven't been able to go to our favorite places. So again, that means it's not something that's guaranteed. And she said there was one thing we noticed would always bring a high, and you could continue with it indefinitely, and the peak would still be rising. And it was guaranteed that you would always have a positive, powerful experience that would leave you feeling much, much better, and on a different level of awareness. And that was meditation. And so spirituality says, make time for yourself, make time to go on that inner journey and see what it is that you need within the inner being to be able to have happiness and peace and joy. And so all of these things, she said, indicate that yes, it's meditation and something that may be a little bit connected with some religion or not, but maybe it can be some type of universal framework also, because that's also possible. There can be a universal approach to meditation, which is really one size fits all. It is something that everybody can practice. This is why the Brahma Kumaris are able to have centers in 110 countries and activities in 140 countries. So meditation is the way in which we can not only generate those pure feelings of happiness and goodness and truth and joy, but we're also able to sustain them. And the sustenance of these qualities is indefinite. There's never going to come a time when we say, well, yesterday I experienced love and today there's nothing. There's something maybe that's not being accurate that made that happen, but continue to follow the right formula, the right method, and the experiences continue to develop and grow. And if you are going through a little bit of a down patch for whatever reason, there are people who are more experienced who you can reach out to and communicate with and find out what's going on. So in meditation, this is exactly what we're doing. We're connecting with the inner being that I am and sorting out what's going on inside. Sometimes people think that meditation is just sitting in silence with your eyes closed, looking at your navel. No, well, maybe for some, but certainly not in Raj Yoga meditation. In Raj Yoga meditation, what we're doing is going on an inner journey to be able to understand the self more and more deeply. And through that inner understanding, being able to connect with the divine. And the idea that we have of the divine, the concept that we use is a being of light. First step, when I go on that inner journey, I can feel the light that I am shining in the center of my forehead. I am that light. Om, I am Shanti, peace. This is who I am in my original state of being, in my natural state of being. And when I learn to detach from the physical form and all the things associated with the physical form, which means my home, my relatives, my job, my career, my possessions, all of these things are external. I've been playing around with these for a long, long time. Now I want to find out about what's going on inside my own inner world. And when I go on this inner journey, I discover these amazing treasures that lie within the soul itself. And also, second step, when I connect with the Supreme, also a being of light, no human form, no angelic form. When we say Nirakar, it doesn't mean that that being is formless, but it means no human form, no subtle angelic deity form, just light. The soul is a being of light that takes on this physical form. The Supreme, the being of light without any other form. And as I turn my thoughts to the divine, making that connection means that I'm able to draw from the Supreme all things that I need within myself. Today, maybe I'm finding everything is very stressful, and the stresses are so strong that they're wearing me down and maybe even lead me to a state of burnout. Especially during the pandemic, there have been many situations in which we felt that everything is too much, too much, too much. But if you have a metal wire and you put some weights on it, you're going to find that you remove the weights and it goes back to its normal flexibility. And yet there comes a point when the pressure of the weights is too much, and then we'll say that the metal is experiencing stress. In fact, it was only after the Second World War that the word stress was used in the context of human minds. Prior to that, it was always in the context of the weight-bearing possibility of metal. And so now I'm feeling all this pressure and all this weight. Can I remove some of it? Well, not so easy. I'm responsible for the home, I'm responsible for the family, and maybe I even have a responsibility at work. I have all of these things that are sitting on my head, and I don't feel I have the capacity to do all that is needed to be done. I don't have the physical stamina, maybe. But even just mentally thinking about all of these different things, and I'm feeling heavy already. Can I remove some of those responsibilities? Maybe not so easy. But what more can I do? Or go the other way. Increase the capacity of the inner being. Same thing. Either you strengthen the wire or you remove the load. And in this case, we're strengthening the inner being. And the connection that I experience in silence, when I go deep inside, first connecting with myself. And then, second step, connecting with the one up above, the one who is the Supreme, and being able to draw from the Supreme all the powers that are latent within the Supreme. We call God the Almighty Authority. But that doesn't mean that God waves a magic wand and here's a dead person who becomes alive again. No, human life and the circle of life, the birth, the sustenance, the death, all of this is very dependent on human karma, action, interaction, and the result of that. And God doesn't intervene in human karma in that way, generally speaking. But yet at a time of darkness, and the world has been through a period of darkness for a pretty long time, actually. It's not even just after COVID, it's not even just after the 21st century started, or even the 20th century. It's been going on for quite a while. There came a moment when we forgot ourselves, and in that forgetfulness, in that amnesia, a lot of negativity started to come in, ego and anger and greed and attachment. And so these negative forces, like the sledgehammer, are very strong and they can take over. And so what we found was that through our journey, the negative forces of ego and anger, etc., took over. And we didn't even realize that this is what had happened because we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten the original identity is that inner light that I am. And I got caught up with my physical identity. Other people did the same. They looked at me on the physical level. They didn't see who I truly am as a being. And so now, having lost touch with myself, the negativity of the world was able to start controlling me. And so what I'm doing now in meditation is challenging Maya, illusion, negativity, and saying, well, actually, you don't have a place here anymore. I don't want to give you space inside my head because that would be aggressing myself. I don't want to give you space inside my home because you'll only cause a huge amount of conflict and contradiction. I don't want you with me in the final moments at night or when I'm ready to leave because you'll create a huge distraction. I do not want Maya, full stop. Well, it's not going to go away just like that. But what I can learn to do is be very mentally agile and alert and active. And so when I do see Maya means illusion, that which is not there, that which is not in existence. For example, there isn't such a thing as darkness in the sense that it's not a thing that I can sweep and say out. But yes, it's the absence of light. And so I introduce a little matchstick or a little candle, and the place lights up. And so Maya, darkness, doesn't have an existence of its own. It stems from ignorance, and from the ignorance comes the illusions and the falsehood. And then, yes, I'm truly trapped by Maya. And so to keep myself in the light, in the awareness of who I am, is the agility that I need at this point. If I stay locked in my physical form, then I'm very far away from my own inner truth and love and joy. But when I'm connected with myself, then in this connection, these qualities that are within me that I've forgotten about now begin to emerge. And secondly, at the same time, in the connection with the divine, the qualities of the divine are vast, infinite. You know, here's a flower. The flower is in one location, but its fragrance is all around in the room. Radio transmitter, one location, but its message is being transmitted through radio waves across the world, literally across the world. Everything now has become global. We keep seeing that, which is wonderful. It's become a global village. But the villagers need to know how to change from urban into rural lifestyle. And so there's a few things to learn, a few tricks to remember. So the first and most important thing to remember and practice is, who am I? And go back inside and connect with the inner being that I am. And then connecting with others in that consciousness. I've come back to my home. I'm finding it comfortable. I'm finding that everything is okay. But yet I'm feeling empty inside. I'm not feeling the fullness that I want to experience. Why? Everything's okay, beautiful. But I don't have that inner fulfillment. I don't have that inner capacity to manage everything that's coming my way. And so I need to connect. And so firstly, the awareness of the inner being, the soul. Secondly, the connection with the divine, the mother, the father, the friend, the teacher, the guru, the guide. All of that is available for me. I take that power, and it's like the light of the sun is shining on me, and those seeds of those original qualities that weren't blossoming anymore, but the energy is still there. And so as the warmth and the love of the Lord of the Supreme reaches the soul, those qualities begin to be emerged, and then I can express them also. So I begin this journey of inwards, upwards, and then outwards, because my experiences are going to be shaping me, renewing me, transforming me, and I'll use those qualities, attributes, abilities now in my life with everybody else around me. And yes, those who want to partake of this direct experience themselves, there's a very short lesson, a whole course that they can take free of charge, and it'll take them in the right direction. But connecting with myself, finding the qualities within, connecting with God is the most essential thing that I need to do in terms of spirituality and mental well-being. What is it like to have amnesia? Not very nice. I know that. My father had a period in which he recognized me and my brother. We'd flown across to be with him, myself from the UK and my brother from USA. And this was when my father was seriously ill in hospital, and it was critical. And they said that he's got amnesia. He doesn't remember his date of birth. He doesn't remember location. There's many things he's forgotten. But when he saw me and my brother, he did recognize us. But that love that we were able to share at that moment triggered a change. And gradually things began to awaken and emerge. And there was a huge sigh of relief that we all felt when we could see that now he was responding to the doctors in an appropriate manner with the right information. Well, imagine what's happened to humanity. We've had amnesia. We forgot who we were. We forgot that we were eternal beings of light, beings of peace, of truth and love. And instead, we got into the limited consciousness of this physical body, and ego and anger and all those nasties came to us, and we embraced them. We said, yes, come, it's fine, it's part of my life, you can join me. And that negativity found itself a home inside of me. And I carried on thinking that I'm awake, but I was actually asleep. Until now. And what shakes me from that stupor is seeing what's going on in the world. What's happened? There's something not quite right. Things shouldn't be like this. What's happened? And then I also begin to look at myself. How come I'm not experiencing the things I used to experience? Have I gone back again into amnesia? When I started my spiritual journey, I was awake, alert, experiencing wonderful things. And now what happened? I fell back again into sleep and I forgot. And so now at this moment, empty inside, and the world also in a state of total chaos, and the condition is not very healthy, either inside or outside. And it's not the outside that has made me feel unhappy. It's actually the other way around. The inside lost power, lost awareness, and it allowed ignorance to come in, and through the ignorance, the negativity, and this negativity then has created the situation of the world in which everything is in a state of flux and uncertainty and imbalance, human minds in that condition, human relationships in that condition, the state of the world, whether the economy or climate or just the empathy that should be there in human beings, the preparations for protests continuing in every corner of the world in different ways. It's become a huge state of chaos. And where did it begin? Not in one country or one place. It began simultaneously across the world, inside our consciousness. And so now I know myself, I know the divine, I know how to connect, and I know how to draw those qualities within myself and those powers within myself. Can I start practicing these and using these in my life? The outward part, inside, inwards, upwards, and then outwards. Now, am I able to maintain peace and love even when my children are going wild? Yes, I'm able to keep smiling. And because I'm smiling, my vibrations of peace will calm them down. It's something that you will notice. There's a heated discussion going on about something that's not such a major issue anyway. It's becoming very heated. Can I step in with a calm word that's going to bring the start of harmony again within the family? Yes, I can do that. Can I bring creativity and enthusiasm, even though it's been locked down for 3 months, and now, yes, gradually an easing of that? But do I have that inner capacity that I'm not impacted by what's going on, but rather I'm able to share something of beauty and truth and goodness and value from within myself that's going to allow them to take benefit also? So far, I've spoken about the family, but the same thing applies in terms of relationships at work. Absolutely. But also, it's not just the sweetness and the love and so on. The aspect of spiritual power is a very important one. But this situation of power is not power over someone else. This is the inner situation of power in which I am increasing my own capacity to be able to manage things in my life differently. For example, can I enhance my ability to discern and understand in a more meaningful way what is going on, rather than just looking at the surface? Yes, meditation, that power from the divine, enhances my ability to understand significance and meaning, see below the mask. The mask comes off, and I'm able to see what is the reality of something. And so, yes, my discernment capacity increases. And of course, if I can see things more clearly, next step, my decision-making capacity is enhanced, which means that now that I can see, I can decide the pros and cons and see what is it that I need to do now. And probably my decision is going to hold good, not just for today, but in the long term. I mentioned just a couple of things, but let me summarize. Spirituality, nothing to do with rituals or sacred books. Carry on with these, that's absolutely fine. But spirituality is what is in the heart of every tradition and religion, without the externals. It is that awareness of that which is mystical, beyond the physical domain. It is that which is connected with values, the goodness of life, the principles of life. And then mental wellness, it means to be able to have the experience of those highest qualities that we all appreciate and aspire to. And when I can experience these, then yes, that is wellness mentally, and it has a physical impact, and it also has an emotional component, but it also is connected with my spirituality. And so these values cross these barriers of, is this a physical, or is this a mental, or is this emotional aspect? No, they combine and transcend all of these at the same time. But it means that in that journey to know myself and to know the divine, I'm developing all these attributes of wellness in my life. And it's visible. It's something that's impacting others around me also, not just something of value and benefit to me, but something that's of value to everyone else around me also. So spirituality shows me my own original truth and goodness. Meditation, which is part of spirituality, silence, reflection, call it what you will, but it's that ability to tap into those inner resources and through God's love, allow these to blossom and flourish and use them in my life. Spirituality is also, what am I doing? Not just what's going on inside, but it has to be practical. And so when I use these qualities in my relationships and in my workplace, then yes, one can see how things are moving in the right direction. There's a transformation for the better, whatever level I was at before, and better and better and better. I'm not competing with anyone, but I'm just moving forward and allowing my own highest potential to be expressed and experienced. And so definitely there's a lot of good that happens through spirituality and my journey of wellness. And my vision of the future is that everybody will be able to not just understand all of this, but experience all of this. And through their own experience, align themselves again with those highest qualities which are present in every human being. I don't believe that they're for a lucky few. I believe that everybody has access to these qualities. And just as, say, in India, we would say this physical form, this body of mine is made up of earth, air, water, fire, ether. It's a very loose definition, but sometimes they talk about Akash, Agni, Vayu, Jal, Prithvi, and this is what this body is made up of. So what is the soul made up of? Earth, water, fire? No. Proteins, carbohydrates? No. The soul is a spiritual being, not a physical being, but the soul is who I am. My personality, my memories, my conscience, my way of thinking, my inner qualities are all within this being, the soul. None of these are in my face or in my arms or my shoulders or my legs. Yes, the soul is connected to the computer, this brain of mine, and manages to work through it. It gives signals to the brain, receives signals from the brain, and we are able to interact in human life. But the brain itself doesn't have the capacity to create thought or these feelings or emotions. Yes, it's the mechanism, but it's the soul. right here in the center of the forehead that experiences all of this. And there's either wellness or there isn't wellness within the soul. And so awareness of the self, awareness of the divine, awareness of what I need to do here and now in terms of managing myself, managing relationships, and managing everything else around me. And so spirituality is not a luxury at this moment. I would say spirituality is essential for life. It's not just something that I can strive for when I'm 70 years old or 80 years old. No. Spirituality is living. It's now. It's me. What is my consciousness? If my consciousness is locked in the physical, then I'm not accessing that which is actually within me. When I move beyond the physical domain and start exploring the spiritual domain, then I'm able to find myself and see who I truly am and what there truly is within me, which is always going to be there. So spirituality is for everyone, because all of us as human beings share the same faculties of the soul: mind, intellect, personality. We're all of that same species. And within that, the qualities that we have are what comprise the soul: the love, the joy, the peace, the truth, the purity. Every soul is made up of these components. And so every soul has the possibility of accessing this if this is what they wish. So it's not the possibility just for a handful of people, but it's something which is inclusive, available for all. And each one can access it at absolutely any time they choose. It just takes a little bit of information, and it takes that practice of going inwards, inside. And yes, I can be well, I can be strong, and able to carry others with me, those around me, those far away, because one individual can make a difference. I've seen that happen many, many times. Lady Jayanti came abroad to London, age 59, and she'd never traveled outside of India before that. And she spent 40 years in London. Yes, she came to India, she traveled across the globe many, many times, but her base was London. And she brought Raj Yoga to the world, basically. She trained teachers who went out to all the different regions of the world, because London is metropolitan, and so they had come from all the regions of the world, and they took the lifestyle of a yogi, their experiences of yoga, and they were able to make a difference in their countries. And so one individual can do so much, but it depends on my own inner capacity, my state of well-being and wellness, and my enthusiasm to serve others so that they also may be well. Let me stop here and thank you for your attention. And I know that over the next week, there'll be many, many different speakers from different parts of the world sharing ideas around this whole theme. But I'll stop here and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. The whole session has been explained so beautifully. You've made us realize the inner potential we have in our life. And it's been very motivating. And I now, the floor is open for question answers, please. Artika.
Yes, I've unmuted myself. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
this was a lovely session. And I wanted to thank Sister Jayanti, taking from what she said, going inward, upward, and outward, in this phase, in this beautiful soul journey that we all go through in our different times in our lives. When one is trying to help others around, like she spoke about workplace, home, where you don't have a choice of letting, just letting people be or just walking away from a situation. What if you face you face some form of aggression when you are trying to share your experiences and insights with people around you and they are aggressive? How do you deal with that? Because I don't have a choice to just walk away. Thank you.
Well, maybe the first thing is that I'm not going to share in words. I've had this experience. They say that a prophet isn't a prophet in his own home. And so it's not going to be with words that I can convince anyone at all, but by my behavior. If they see me stay calm in the middle of chaos, if they see me stay happy when things are challenging, if they see me tireless and enthusiastic when they're flagging, well, that's going to make them ask the question, how do you do it? Then that's the time to share something in words. But prior to the words, it has to be the transformation they see in my life. And then they're going to be ready to listen to a little bit.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, please, Monica.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Namaskar, Sister Jayanti. Thank you for your talk. Very, very appreciated. At times like this, as we all keep saying right now, I have a very quick question, Sister. When we try to detach ourselves from negativity, marital discord, or issues that bother or hurt us, sometimes I think it is perceived as indifference. And we do feel then we're losing out somewhere. How do you recommend one should balance this?
Thank you for the question. And yes, I know what you're saying. And the important thing is, firstly, just to fill myself with spiritual power. And the detachment is nothing to do with what's going on around us. The detachment is my own state of consciousness in which I'm either totally impacted by my physical form, my age, my gender, my race, my religion, my color, all of these things are limiting my way of thinking. And so the first detachment that I need to practice is coming to the awareness of the inner being, seeing myself as that being of light and not being involved or influenced by the limitations that the physical body imposes on me. And in that state of detachment, when I'm with other people or in any situation, it's never that I'm not engaged in it. I can be engaged with the situation, but internally, my detachment is for the body and I'm in the awareness of the soul. And so people can feel my involvement, my engagement, but also my empathy. But because now I am in charge of my own feelings and emotions, I can decide what it is I want to contribute in this situation, which is going to be helpful. Whereas before, where I was emotionally engrossed and involved, all the feelings and the negativity took over. And I didn't have the clarity to see what contribution can I make that's going to be positive here. But now with this inner detachment, I can see what's going on. And just for a moment, I go inwards and I take that power and I know how to be able to make a difference. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
So, Monica, you got your answer?
Yeah, but you know, I have a little link to it, but I think I'll be wasting other questions. So
If from Nagpur this question came, right?
yes, yes, that's right. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Now we have Ramita Sehgal. Thank you. Ramita Sehgal from Amritsar.
Yeah. Om Shanti. Om Shanti, sister. It was certainly a very blissful session, and as divine as a loveful soul that you are. My question is that why, in general, people are so skeptical, rather scared of Brahma Kumaris, particularly when they learn about the rules and regulations of the organization, talking about eating habits, drinking. They feel the life will not be the same again. Maybe they just know that's the only way they used to enjoying life, no other way. And also that few believe that it's a kind of a cult with a lot of rigidity and fixed ideology, which makes it very impossible for a family man to follow it. If you're single, it's fine, then why family? So kindly throw some divine light on these misconceptions in the society.
Thank you. At this point in history, and I'll bring in this word Kali Yuga. If I were to ask most of you, is it Satyug, is it Treta, is it Dwapar, is it Kali Yuga? Without hesitation, everybody would say it's Kali Yuga. And it's not just Kali Yuga, but it's like the extreme dark end of Kali Yuga when everything is very negative and very heavy. And it's at such a time that we need to be reminded of a more natural way of living and being. And so, yes, there are suggestions we make, but always it'll be a suggestion. For example, we won't say you have to be vegetarian and then come to the ashram. And I know some organizations insist you do this first and then only you can come. We never say that. We say, come, have a taste of the sweetness of the nectar of knowledge. And then if you want more, then yes, there are certain guidelines we can offer you. And if you follow those guidelines, it's more likely that you'll be able to move ahead on the spiritual path. So then we'll say, and this happens across the world where vegetarianism used to be thought of being very strange, but now, of course, it's something that's accepted worldwide. But I mean, I was a natural vegetarian, even though I was growing up in London. I couldn't take the smell of anything else. It was really very difficult for me. But I stayed my course with what was right for me. But I know that some other people, when they started to meditate, they said, how can I improve my meditation? I've said, okay, for a month, try vegetarian diet and see the difference it makes. And at the end of the month, decide for yourself. And they experiment and they see the benefit and they want to continue with that. So that happens in all aspects, depending on the extent to which I want the benefit that meditation can bring me. To that extent, there are certain principles that I need to understand and follow in my life. My mother started meditation when she was 25, and this was in 1957, and I was 8 years old. And soon, about 6-7 months after beginning to meditate, the family migrated to London, and she continued with the family with no external support. There was no other center. The nearest center was Mount Abu, 5,000 miles away. But she stayed in the family, and the influence she had through her being was that today my brother won't say he's religious or spiritual or anything, but he'll remember with love her honesty and how she taught him to be honest. My father became a BK 23 years after my mother started. So for 23 years, she was continuing, but he was supporting him with a lot of love and respect. But 23 years later, he said, okay, teach me how to meditate. Until then, he wasn't ready. So just prove to you that even though two people may not share the same spiritual journey together, each one has their own rhythm and their own time, but they can live together in harmony. And the proof of that, and carry on sustaining the family, nurturing the family. And so, yes, there are lots of misconceptions, but I think it's because in Kali Yuga, most people don't expect that you have to walk your talk. They're used to hearing scriptures, singing praise of God, Om Shanti, that's it. Then I carry on with my life in whatever way I want. And at the Brahma Kumaris, we believe what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing has to be aligned. And so it does cause a reaction, but I think more and more people are now understanding the value of this and the need for authenticity and integrity, because the world is lacking in these things. And so the Brahma Kumaris are showing the world what it is to have integrity and authenticity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramita. Now, Taru Pishoria from Amritsar. Next.
Om Shanti, sister. This was a very enlightening session, sister. So I have a question. In the past decades, researchers have stated the positive contribution of spirituality on mental health. Can it at times generate unhealthy levels of guilt, promote self-denigration and low self-esteem by human nature? How do you list harmful and helpful aspects of religion?
My own experience tells me that meditation and spirituality actually help come back to a state of valuing the self and creating self-esteem. There are very specific methods that spirituality teaches to be able to create that. Spirituality has also taught me to have realization. If there's a mistake, to realize, not guilt. Guilt is a burden that we carry, and it doesn't make you change or reform. And you keep repeating the same mistake time and again, maybe. But spirituality makes you think. You stop and you pause and you ask the question, why did I do this? What is the result of this? Do I want to continue like this, or do I want to change? And so spirituality gives you a mechanism through which there can be transformation. Guilt for a moment, yes, I realize I've done something wrong, I shouldn't have done it. Then what am I going to do about it? Carrying a load on my shoulders isn't going to help, but I have to do something about myself. I want to change, I want to transform. So in fact, the only time I've seen meditation doesn't work is somebody's going through a psychotic phase. And so if they are going through psychotic phase and if they are under professional care, you would tell them, wait. When your carer and your professional helper writes to us and tells us you're ready for meditation, then we can teach you. But until then, we would suggest that you just keep watching yourself and making sure that you stay well and don't get into ups and downs too much. Carry on with your medication. And then when you're ready, your professional person will tell us that you are ready. So that's the only situation where we have to be alert. But where it's a case of guilt and depression and things like this, definitely meditation's able to put that right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you very much.
Sister, here I have a last question which has come via email from Aurangabad. The question is, being a teacher, how can I use my platform to teach the children about the importance of their mental and emotional being and also encourage them to follow spirituality?
I think a teacher has an even greater responsibility than parents. And so when my answer earlier was teach by example, I would say the same. They say that values cannot be taught. Values can only be caught. I believe this. I believe that your life and the way you model yourself can be the role model for the young ones in your care. And I would suggest one more thing. Teach the pupils, no matter what age, even starting from 4 years old, teach your pupils the value of silence, of reflection. And maybe a thing you can do is practice meditation yourself so you're fully charged in the right way. And when you enter a classroom, just let yourself be still and spread those vibrations of peace to reach out to everybody in that room. Look at them, each one in the eyes, and share that moment of acknowledgement of peace with each one. And they'll be a little bit confused at first, but after those few moments, explain to them what you were doing. Explain. I was aware of the peace within, and I wanted each one of you to experience that. So I was connecting with you to share that experience of peace. Would you like us to do that every time we have a lesson together? And I bet you they'll say, yes, yes, please.
Wonderful.
And so gradually develop that love for silence and introspection. Bring that into your classes. And most of all, stay light, stay happy, stay easy. And they'll say, yes, we want to be like this.
Thank you, sister. Thanks a lot. Now we will go towards the meditation session.
Okay. What I'd like to do is to speak out my own thoughts as I meditate and invite all of you to follow these ideas. And my hope is that you'll experience the things that you're thinking about. Sitting comfortably, and you can let your eyes gently relax or keep them open. What's important is what's going on in the mind. I go deeper and deeper inside myself, and in this awareness of who I am the being of light within. I hold this awareness. I, the light, shining in the forehead. I am a being of peace. And now I connect my thoughts with the source of peace, of love, of truth, the supreme being, the being of light. And as I connect with the supreme, from the supreme come waves of love that surround me. And this love is pure and is able to heal. And this pure love heals the wounds that I carry from the past that still today cause me pain and sorrow. Surrounded by this pure love, I feel the love soothe away all the regrets and the sorrows from the past. And staying in this awareness, I realize that not only have my wounds been healed, that I myself have been filled with this pure love that I can share with all. And God's love reaches out into the room and beyond this room. It touches all human souls and reminds them of faith and hope. And beyond, the power of this love touches all forms of life and offers them safety and protection. And the power of this love touches human hearts. And the power of love touches all the elements of nature and purifies nature. God's love, unconditional, non-judgmental, totally inclusive, fills this universe of ours. The greatest healer is at work, making us messengers of peace. I hold this awareness and come back again to the awareness of the physical domain, that I keep this experience of the power of love with myself. Om Shanti. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. Words can't describe the immense sense of peace and gratitude I'm feeling right now. And I'm sure it's the same for all of us here. What an enlightening session, an exhilarating session this has been. Simple and useful insights to uncomplicate our lives. Sister Jayanti, we can't thank you enough. This has been a very, very profound experience for all of us. Thank you so much for taking out time for all of us here today. Thank you to our esteemed guests for being a part of this session. And last but not the least, thank you to our wonderful audience and all the questions which have come from Colombo, Nagpur, and Aurangabad. Now for the next Phulkari, next week Phulkari will be bringing you very powerful session by Masters of Brahmakumaris from all over the world, including Italy, Abu Dhabi, Australia, New Delhi, and Manesar. Each session will cover a different topic, which is importance for mental well-being. The schedule has been shared on all our social media pages. We promise you each session is going to be an eye-opener and wonderful experience for you all. Don't miss any. Stay tuned and thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.